So the Imam rahimahullah ta'ala, he says the Hady is livestock, etc., which is offered to the sanctuary, meaning the haram, because it is offered to Allah. So this is the Hady. The second thing is al-Udhiya. The Udhiya is an eligible camel, cow, or sheep that is slaughtered during the days of Nahar, which is Eid, right? And it's for the Eid day, as an act of devotion, right? So one is done by the pilgrim, one is done by the non-pilgrim. The time for slaughter is from the conclusion of Eid prayer until the end of the second day after it. Okay? So that gives you an idea when to slaughter and when the slaughter concludes. He says, it is an emphasized recommended act and obligatory due to an oath. So it's a sunnah mu'akkada to slaughter the udhiyah. And it is considered makruh or disliked to neglect this practice for those that are capable of doing it. The capable person would be the one that can afford to slaughter the animal. So what type of animal are you going to slaughter? The first thing is, we're talking about livestock, camel, cows, and sheep or goats. The most virtuous is a camel and then a cow, if they are slaughtered by one person in totality, as opposed to dividing it into 7 parts. So if you are going to slaughter a camel on behalf of yourself and your family, that's better than a cow, which is better than a sheep or a goat. It is not valid to make the udhiyah with other animals. You can't sacrifice an ostrich, for example. It says here, 1 sheep is sufficient for a man and his dependents and family. Right, so this is the minimum. This will cover you and your family and those that are dependent upon you. A camel or a cow is sufficient for 7 and is considered a slaughter on their behalf. So when we say sheep, it means either the lamb or the goat. Here, the sheep is the lamb or the goat. And then slaughtering a camel or a cow can be divided into 7 parts. So 7 can go in on 1 camel or 1 cow, and with the intention it will be counted for them as their sacrificial offering. 1 sheep is better than 1/7 of a camel or a cow. So here, as I mentioned previously, the camel and the cow are only superior if they're done by 1 individual. But if you're going to divide the animal into 7 parts, the more virtuous sacrifice is that you slaughter a goat or a lamb or a goat on your behalf. And 7 sheep or 7 lambs or goats are better than 1 of the others. Okay, so basically, the more that is offered is better. So dividing a camel or a cow into 7 parts is 1 animal that is offered, as opposed to those same 7 people sacrificing a lamb or a goat on their behalf, which would be 7. Or, so you understand the concept here, is that the more that is offered is better. It's not valid except with a 6-month-old sheep or a thani of something else. We'll get to there. A thani camel is a 5-year-old, completely 5 years old, not like 4.5, but 5 years. A cow, thani cow, is 2-year-old, completely 2 years. And then the goat is 1 year. So you have the lamb, which has to be 6 months or older. The goat has to be 1 year or older. The cow has to be 2 years or older, and the camel has to be 5 or more. The emaciated, which means obviously malnourished and overly thin, clearly one-eyed. This is where not the animal's born with missing eye, but it was gouged out or something befell the animal which caused it to lose its eye. The hobbled, which means the limbs have been damaged and are now not functioning properly or missing its front teeth. Most of its ear or horn will not suffice. It's not enough. So you don't offer an animal that is sickly or that is too lean, that has been damaged or diseased. You offer a healthy animal. And it's preferred, regardless of the category, camel, cow, lamb, or goat, that you offer the healthiest, the plumpest, right, the fattest of the animal, and then the most expensive. Okay, so the offering is something that you kind of put your best foot forward. The best quality, right? You want the best quality to offer for this act of piety. It's recommended to slaughter a camel standing, meaning the camel here standing, with its left leg bound, by puncturing the pit here. It's on the human, it's right here. The pit between the neck and the sternum. So the camel has this portion here. If you know, there's like a little circle, almost a little indent there. So on the anatomy of the camel, that is what you're going to puncture. Right? So it's not done with, it's not recommended with the blade across the artery like it would be for a cow, for a lamb, or a goat. But the camel is a nahar here. It's to be punctured while it's standing. The slaughtering of a cow and sheep or a goat is done lying on their left side while facing the qibla. So that you take those animals and put them on their side. It's obligatory to mention Allah's name. When you're going to slaughter, you say the basmala, Bismillah. That's an obligation. And that basically means when the blade moves to the slaughter, to begin the actual slaughtering, then you say the Bismillah. Takbir is made, and the following is said. Oh Allah, this is from you and for you. Allahumma hadha minka walak is the Arabic version of that. Allahumma hadha minka walak. So you say Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, Allahumma hadha minka walak. So the first Basmala is wajib, must be done. The other two are sunnah. To say Allahu Akbar is recommended. To say Allahumma hadha minka walak, oh Allah, this is from you and for you, is also recommended.
Can we say in our language, or Arabic is the main, the last one?
You can say that in your own language, inshallah. The time of slaughter, the time to slaughter an udhiya, an oath hadi, or voluntary sacrifice for mut'ah, which is mutamatti, or qiran, right, for the one that's making the hajj and qarin, is after the earliest prayer of the area, the earliest Eid prayer of the area, or its equivalent for those who do not pray. Right? Those who do not pray are those that might live in some remote area where they don't hold the Eid prayer. The Eid prayer might not be offered because they live in such an area where they don't have the minimum required number to pray Eid. And in this school, it's 40. Like Jummah and Eid prayer, you have to have 40 attendees, including the imam, in order to establish either Jummah prayer or Eid prayer. And so if you live in a remote area where you've got 15 people, well, then you're not going to establish the Eid congregation. So what you would do is, this slaughter would commence for your community at the earliest Eid prayer of that region. Okay? So if within the region there's another city somewhere, then if they pray at 8 and they get over at 8:30, well, then you can start slaughtering at 8:30. You understand? Yeah. If the prayer is missed due to the zawal, right? So the Eid prayer goes from the time of duha to the zawal, time of dhuhr. And if you miss it, then you make it up the next day, the Eid prayer. So in the event that you received information late that it was Eid day, for example, you weren't informed that it was Eid day until after Dhuhr prayer, then you're going to pray Eid the next day. So if the Eid is missed due to the Zawal, slaughter is to commence after it and continue until the second day of Tashriq. It would commence after the Eid prayer, and it would continue until 11th and 12th. So on the 12th day of Eid, on the 12th of Dhul Hijjah is when the slaughter ends. The time to slaughter an obligatory Hady is upon committing the unlawful. And this is talking about when you're in Ihram and you commit some of those prohibited acts, min mahdhurat al-Ihram, right? Some of the prohibited acts that the penalty is a blood sacrifice, like hunting a land game animal. If you hunted a land game animal in Ihram, then the penalty is a blood sacrifice. And that is to be paid, or it's obligatory to pay it when that infraction is committed. So the moment that you engage in hunting of a land game animal while you're in Ihram, that's when it's obligatory for you to slaughter the animal, etc.